another week. A lot of stuff to talk about. If you haven't seen the videos, there are two videos. Evan Morgan, Mr. Moran, District Trustee, Area 5. Very, very interesting of what's going on with that. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and look at our panel today. This is the Hot Seat Radio Show with Mighty Max.
Hey.
Mighty Max is feeling a little down today, so please bear with her.
Yeah.
She is sounding terrible. You got a cold?
Yeah, and just my body catching up with me.
Yeah, all that birthday partying.
Yeah.
So at 25 years old, now you're starting to feel the effects of
lack of sleep.
Yeah. You got to take some sleep.
Yes.
So you guys bear with Mighty Max there. We have Sean Fortine. Mr. Sean, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Hey, as always, I'm in the mix, in the middle, getting it done. And I feel great because the weather has basically stabilized, which makes me feel better.
Yeah.
And like I said, my joints are great. Went to Vegas, hung out at the resort with my friends, had a great time. So I really can't complain. And Pastor Don is here to keep us in check, keep our language down. And because Max is sick.
Yeah.
You won't
I'm
have
here for Max.
Right,
you know
right. Yeah. You won't have to do too much refereeing.
That's fine.
So
I'll keep an eye on Max.
Right, but we had our thing earlier today.
Yeah,
and if you guys
awesome.
haven't seen it, if you guys
spoke
have
about Peter
yes, we did. Oh, you listened? Yes. Live. Yes, we were
and I
live.
appreciate
I'll tell you, that was
Yes, just the message, faith, and staying together. Right.
Oh, praise God. That was a wonderful time I had with you.
It was a 45-minute show because Pastor Don, your devotionals are about 15 minutes on average. Today it was 20 minutes, and we did 20 minutes of talking because we have gone to a new format, which is video raw footage.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen the raw footage, go to Reflections Church, Moreno Valley.
Reflections Moreno Valley Church.
Reflections Moreno Valley Church on YouTube. And you can see
Absolutely.
the raw video, or you can click the link on Reflections Church Facebook page.
Facebook page, exactly.
And of course, you can always go to the Hot Seat and all the other pages that we have to see that. So we're going to be doing the same thing here because a lot of people, for some reason, do not believe that we are doing this live and doing what we're doing. So everybody just bear with us as I give the introductions. And we have, as they call it, the CEO of The Polish and the one that is funding all of our subversive activity in the Inland Empire, D. Mitra. Is it K? Coulter? I don't know. No.
Call me anything but. No,
Okay, right. No, it's I know her as D. Coulter. We went to high school together, so we know each other a long time. How is Mr. Al doing?
He's doing wonderful.
Did he tell you about anything that he might has to come up with? Because I've been doing some dirt with some of the money you've been giving us. And I just want you to know when it comes out, I don't want to see you on paternity court or anything like that. Okay.
It's impossible.
Impossible. Okay. Impossible. Again, so I always beg Dee to come on the show. She has a show that comes on at 3 p.m. on Facebook, and it's live. And she talks about, so what am I saying? And in it, she gives her opinion about different topics that are going on in the communities. And you can, chat in and write in. And I usually chime in lately because I've been dealing with the weather. But great show.
Thank you.
I got the podcast. So you notice I share it on the other stuff as well. So, which I don't get the same. No, anyway. She doesn't want me on the show. I don't know what it is. She don't want me in a room. That's what it is. So, but Dee's doing good. So, but Dee does a lot of work in behind the scenes. And I gave you the number to a good friend of mine, Jaime Moreno.
Oh, yeah.
And you're still, waiting for his call. I told him specifically to call you and pick your brain about things and what he wants to do and what he wants to do. So you got his number. Yes. So if push comes to shove, go ahead and call him. So besides that, Dee, what are you doing? Still single? Still what? What's happening?
Doggone well, I ain't still single.
Long distance relationships don't work.
It won't be long distance for long.
So are you moving to Houston? Why do we keep losing our female hosts?
I support the move for love.
Oh, okay, well. Well, there you have it. Women sticking together as they usually do. So, I'm not sure if
you
Mr.
saw that the Women's March on Saturday.
I did. That was incredible. There's no disputing those numbers.
Right.
There's no disputing the number. Now, I don't understand what they were marching for or what. I mean,
I couldn't figure that out either.
Yeah.
I couldn't either.
Yeah, what are you marching against?
I wasn't out there, but...
There's a lot of people that look like you out there.
Well, you didn't see me out there.
Okay. All right. I mean, the only thing I got out of is what they're marching to get to the kitchen quicker, or
I
they,
see now.
you know,
You know,
what's going on?
I think they don't like Trump and his policies.
Oh, is it because their female feminist candidate, terrible candidate, lost? Now they want to do something about it?
You can look at it that way.
Well, that's why I love.
It's not just women though. There's a lot of men out there.
Are guys that might be in the alternative lifestyle or whatever they're doing?
No, there's not. There's a lot of straight guys out there as well.
Those are the guys that are being beaten up by the feminists and stuff.
Like,
they don't wear the
Shia
pants.
LaBeouf. You guys know who he is. He has this 24-hour live feed that says he will not divide us. Mm-hmm. And so he's...
And you're aware that Shia LaBeouf is on a 5150 hold in the state of California.
I thought Einstein was crazy as well.
Yes, they did.
So,
yes, they did. But
you can be crazy and fight the system if you want to call it that.
That's true. That's true. Well, I love Republican women. You know, you guys want to know why? They don't believe that they should be paid equally. They believe they should be in a home. They believe, hey, take care of me, and they're traditionalists. I love that.
Melania Trump.
Oh, that poor woman is being abused by that man.
You see the hashtag Free Melania?
Yeah. Did you see the way he's pinching on her and just doing it up? I mean, it's just sad.
I mean, at first it's kind of funny, but then you start seeing this stuff. It's like, there's something there.
Yeah, he's treating her like a child or just an object or something like that. But
when they got out of the car at Inauguration Day, like, she walked around the car all by herself.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Did you see the difference?
Just looking at them compared to the established and wonderful example of a beautiful black family in love, the Obamas. Just looking at them compared to one another, you were like, whoa.
Wow. Now, isn't it funny, as sick as Max is, when it comes when it comes to these women agendas, she stands up for hers. I'm not taking it away from you. Hey. I'm just saying, you be getting into it.
I'm going to pop up in and out today as we continue to talk.
Okay. So basically, to keep Max out of the conversation, go away. Don't talk about
totally
women.
listening. My head's just a little heavy.
Okay, I got you. So everybody out there, young people that are out there listening, please do not drink and drive. And if you're going to partay, make sure you party enough to where you get your faculties together. But anyway, Sean, Mr. Daryl Terrell, I guess he's on the way. He might be here. He might be busy. I do not know. So what do you got for us this week? Because you had a lot of stuff last week. So this is your good to go.
I was just looking over Trump's executive orders.
Ooh, yeah, he has a lot of them. And unfortunately, executive orders only go so far. But we're going to talk about that a little bit later.
The only one I see that I'm having serious questions about is his changes to the Affordable Care Act. It seems a little too much too soon. Unless they've got like a really good bill coming right on the heels of this, I don't see how. I think he's going to have to change some of his recent executive orders on that.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the Mexico City abortion policy, where we're not going to be financing abortions all over the world.
I like that one too.
Well, okay. Let me ask you this. I like it too. Whatever, I'm very pro-life, so I don't really worry about that. But we're bombing people
right
out of existence, and we think that stopping. I mean, what's the
a baby being born?
Yeah, one end versus the other. Yeah. Right, one end versus the other. Are we making any progress? I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I think that we're going to need to pick and choose our literal battles a lot more carefully.
Okay.
I mean, I think we need to obliterate the Islamic State, and then we need to try and get out of some of these fights that we've been in for so long.
Mm-hmm. Well, Trump is talking about taking the oil, so
Well, he's planning on using a lot of domestic oil.
Right.
Which is, well, I like the Keystone Pipeline, and I really like that he's going to insist on using American-made pipe, which is going to bring back our steel industry. Mm-hmm. And it's also better for the environment long term, because we won't be importing steel that was made on
China.
Yeah, made in China with a complete absence of environmental laws.
Okay.
I think the Represent Us people will like that he's scrapping the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Yes.
And I also like that he's. Of course, I like all the border security stuff, but I also like that he's reviewing all Obama's recent executive orders and
reversing
new rules that replace him. So now Congress is looking at reviewing his recent policies on using Social Security for gun control. That just because the problem is that just because someone has a mental illness doesn't necessarily mean they're unsafe with a gun, and also just because someone's getting help managing their finances doesn't necessarily mean they have diminished mental capacities. It just means they may just have some more memory problems, or maybe some sort of brain injury or learning disability that affects their ability to work with numbers, and otherwise they're. So I think that's a good thing, because the Social Security was never designed to be to figure out if someone is competent to have a gun. There are other legal processes if that's necessary. So I really like that one, and it'll probably eventually be a prelude to scrapping the same policies at the VA, to where it's like where they can arbitrarily put someone in the NICS database for having PTSD.
Right. So, let me ask you this. I know you have a lot of like things, but hasn't it bothered you that even though he is approving the go-ahead and reversing Obama's policy toward the tribal people there, and I was on Facebook arguing with people. I don't know if you guys saw that, and they keep saying, "Oh, look at this map, look at this map," and what they didn't understand was they kept showing me a corporate map of what was going on, and the only map that I think is really viable is United Geological Survey maps. Those are the official maps. But now everything is fake news. Oh, that's fake, that's fake, that's fake. So to me, what is the, if you won't take the United States numbers and you won't go with the New York Times, who've been here for 100 years or whatever, people are going to say, oh, it's that, they make up so many excuses. So what is a credible source anymore? So I showed them the map, and I said, well, this is the issue, because they had the same problems in Alaska. That's why the Alaska pipeline is above ground. Somebody got on there and said, well, they had tons of meetings up there and the Indians refused to meet with them. Now, let me ask you this as an advocate. I wanted something out of your house, and we're supposed to meet right here. You don't show up 30 times. Does that give me the right to still go into your house and take what it is that I want? Now, unfortunately, the United States has a problem with the Native American in breaking treaties. That is a sovereign nation.
Yeah, if you're talking about the Dakota Access Pipeline, out of all the land available out there, I don't know why they had to put it in or even right next to an Indian reservation.
Right, and the problem is the water table runs underneath. So people say, well, they can go around. And the Indians' lawyers have said that. But the corporations don't want to spend the millions of dollars that it takes them to go around. The same thing happened during the Alaska pipeline. People say, well, a lot of people who've never been to Alaska are going to be like, oh, yeah, the pipeline, it's not underground. It's above ground. And the oil companies pay subsidies to the Indian tribes. I was in the Alaska Air National Guard. I know. We used to bring them. And these guys have money. These tribes have money from the oil company. So the oil from Prudhoe Bay gets diverted down into the bay, and, there's a big, long pipeline. The dispute is the fact that these corporations do not want to pay what it is. Everybody has a price. I believe that. They don't want to pay that money. And now they're forcing the United States government to step in, which the United States government should do, but not on the hands of the corporation, but of the Indians. So I can go on and on and on. People, do your homework. I don't know what you look for real news, but the only maps that matter are United States Geological Survey. And I'm going to say this. Thank you for the heavenly response. But I'm going to say this also. Yeah. Why doesn't anybody have a problem with the president who has monetary interests in the construction of the piping? That's a conflict of interest.
I'll have to research that more. I believe he was going to divest himself of those interests and put them in a trust, and maybe give those over to his kids.
Right, but giving it to your kids is not a blind trust, so that's still a conflict of interest.
I'll have to look into that more.
Good answer. See, Sean, you need to run for office. I'm telling you, that's how you do it. But no, a lot of people don't know that. Most presidents, Kennedy, all these rich presidents that have ever happened, you go into a blind trust that way. You don't know what's going on with your company. You haven't heard anything, whatever. He's not doing that. He's not divesting. Just because I gave it to my son, I don't talk to my son about, hey, how's the business going, son?
Right.
How's everything going?
Right.
And I'm sure if you're going to run for president, these are things you got to think about before you run. What do you think, Pastor Noah?
Well, I mean, there is a conflict of interest. I mean, there really is. I mean, I'm like Sean. I don't know enough about that. I would have to do my homework, like you're telling your audience they have to do. But
absolutely.
But I mean, the actual definition of conflict of interest, if you do it with your family, I mean, there is that fine line. Where does it cross? So that's something I'd have to check
and to
into
promise I will never talk to them about the business. Come on. We're all human beings.
Yes.
It's going to come up. So, Dee, what's your take on it?
You really want my take on it?
Yes, I really do. I really do.
Well, let's just be honest here. The United States of America, whoever that might be, they have a history of taking things from people. And the
Go, Sister Soldier.
The Indians are some
natives.
of those people.
The natives.
The natives, rather, are some of those people who are used to having things taken from them. So, I mean, what's any different? What's the difference here?
Right, another treaty being broken.
Right, what's the difference? And as far as Trump, I mean, he's gotten to be the president out of all the stuff that he's done that's been proven. So, I mean, what's to stop him now from, going forward with the pipeline and, even though I may or may not have, stocks
interest
or whatever
bonds,
in the company.
right.
I mean,
which goes against the Constitution.
Who's going to stop him? Nobody has stopped him this far.
Right. That's a good point.
I mean, he doesn't care about what anybody else thinks, whether it's right or wrong. He's not listening.
Okay.
So
it's going to take either the Supreme Court or Congress to do all these things.
I mean, that's going to do it.
Well, to do all these things, number one, the president, all equal branches of government are equal. So it takes money. Congress controls the purse strings. So if Congress, who's going to be up for election next year, 2 years from now, if they vote all this money that we don't have into existence, there's going to be a lot of seat changes in the upcoming congressional election.
I'm not so sure. I think, look, from the executive orders that Trump's signed so far, it looks like he's trying to cut spending dramatically to try and control our debt.
Right. No, and Obama's been doing that. But like right now, we've already got to freeze our military budget. He wants to increase the military budget. Some of these programs that he's looking into, Mexico's supposed to pay for the wall.
And they said they're not paying.
Yeah, and they're not paying for it.
I think a lot of people that I know, for me, definitely, but I think there's a lot of other people that would just happy to have the wall.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
How it's paid for.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I'm saying is, to do that, to balance that budget and to do these big budgets and rebuild the military, something's got to be cut, and they're cutting from the bottom. Because here's the thing: people keep forgetting about this. The Bush tax cuts were made permanent under Obama. So here's the thing. If the rich keep getting tax cuts, who is going to pay for the infrastructures and keep our cities going and the programs that we need to keep going? You can't keep... What middle class? The middle class doesn't exist anymore. The middle class was gone after 2007. It's basically the have and the have-nots. There is no middle class.
Well, one of the things he said he's going to try and do is make arrangements to get businesses to bring in their offshore tax shelters back into the U.S.
Yeah,
he said they're going to have to be be brought in at a discounted tax rate, but he also admitted that the companies won that battle a long time ago with their lobbyists.
Right.
So basically, the companies have the upper hand on that one. But so right now it would be good just to get that money back into our economy. Right.
Now, let me ask you this. You just said offshore tax base. So you're telling me these corporations who willingly hid money that they should have been paying taxes off, he's going to let them walk back to the United States without any penalty?
Like I said, the corporations won that battle decades
long time ago. Yeah, absolutely.
And so right now, the best thing we can do is just get that money back into our economy whatever way we can.
Any way we can. That's very true. Okay, well, that's a good point. We can go on and on and on. Dee, the election is over.
And right now, I can speculate on what Trump is going to do a lot, but he's only been in office for less than a week, and he's going to have to prove some of his own policies.
Yeah. No, I'm with you wholeheartedly. But like we tell people on the show, do your homework. All that glitters isn't gold. I mean, if as bad as Obama was vilified, if they had worked with that man on that jobs bill, where would we be today as a country if the Republicans had just worked for the American people? Don't worry about Obama. Work for the American people who sent you to Washington. Where could we be right now? Wall Street has never been higher. There was no bankers that were prosecuted. I mean, life was good if you're at the top.
Well, you know what? I don't know if the opposition necessarily had a problem with Obama and Obama's policies, rather. But let's be honest, what was going on the night of his inauguration?
They were saying that we're not going to work with this big Negro, and that's the bottom line.
Well, I don't know if they said that, but
I think they did. I bet you they did.
Okay, so
and it wasn't Negro.
He was celebrating winning the presidency.
Right.
He hadn't had a chance to do anything, but they're plotting.
Right.
To make him a one-term president and
right.
to buck the system with him. So, I mean, come on.
The same thing's going on now.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Trump has given us a lot to be doubtful over.
Okay.
I mean, this guy is...
Yeah, so let me ask you this. I know you're not a feminist and you're a traditional type person, common sense person. I'm saying you're a common sense person. Do you think Hillary would have done anything different?
No, and I'll be honest with you. As far as me voting, I didn't like either one of them. I just felt like I was voting for the lesser of two evils. I felt like maybe that was Hillary. I just could not consciously vote for Trump.
Okay.
Just in a lot of things that he said, a lot of things that he's done, he's just very unapologetic about being, I'll be nice, a jerk.
Right. Now, we have a pastor here who is a hardcore Trump supporter. No, I'm joking. Pastor Don.
I will say I'm not a Trump supporter.
He's a business. You're a businessman.
Yeah. But I'll tell you this. There's one thing that I want to ask the panel about that I'm interested in, because of course I love the Bible, and that's what I do. What do you guys think about Trump wanting to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem? And then to follow up on that thought, what do you think about the executive order that Obama did right on the very last day before his last president to give $220 million to the Palestinians without Congress approval? So I'm kind of interested in seeing what you guys thought about that in regards to, because I'm telling you this, I'm an end times guy, and I study it.
You talked about it today on the show.
I love talking about that. You moved that embassy to Jerusalem, and all hell will break loose. Right. I'm interested in knowing what the panel thinks about that. I really would like to know, if you think that does go through, what's going to happen in the Middle East? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you, as somebody who does his homework, does a lot of reading. I sit at home. I have nothing else to do but feed my dogs and cats. And I'm going to tell you this. Number one, just because he made an executive order to move $220 million doesn't mean $220 million moves, because Congress controls the purse strings. He can't do that legally. That's the thing. Right. Without Congress approval, you really can't do anything in regard to budgets. Yeah. But I mean, the executive order was done prior. Right, but the money, but there was no money exchange. I don't know about that. So that's how it works. He can't do that without any approval. That's where the checks and balances comes in. Now, in regards to moving the thing to Jerusalem, now that's going to be a prelude to going back into Iraq and getting the oil, and for our warmongers and our military-industrial complex. Mm-hmm. War, right now, we've been the longest war that we've had going. We got to keep it going. We're going to use any excuse to do it. So this war he has with the CIA and all this crap that he keeps saying, notice that he has to... Isn't it funny how the president nowadays, in the modern time, has to go to the CIA, make a statement there, then he has to go down to the Defense Department and make an appearance there and state, because those are the people he works for. The industrial military complex with the CIA. And all the president is nothing but a salesman for the arms manufacturers.
I'm not so... I don't see the moving the embassy to Jerusalem as a good strategic move if he wants to continue war on the Middle East, because that's definitely going to anger a large portion of the Middle East.
Right, and that's why, and by angering the large portion of the Middle East, it will give them the justification to go in. And let's say the Palestinians start bombing more in Israel. And
the one thing you got to keep in mind is Resolution 2334, which basically took them back to 1967.
Right.
That means eastern part of Jerusalem is already part of the Palestinian land.
Right. And
so what happens when you move that embassy over into Jerusalem? You're basically telling them, sorry guys,
you're on your
Jerusalem is a Israeli type land. So
exactly.
What do you think the Fatah and Hamas and Hezbollah and
the and all these guys,
the Brotherhood, what are they going to do?
The same thing they always do, basically, and nothing changed.
Exactly. But the only thing is, then we're going to have to step in. The United States, we're really big at this. We sell arms on both sides.
And then the other thing you got to ask, would the United Nations recognize it? Will they recognize the embassy out in Jerusalem?
Right.
That's the other thing that I'm not sure how that would work.
I don't think they have to. I think that's between the U.S. and Israel.
Right. Well, I've always been a proponent of this. I know a lot of people don't agree with me. I've been over there several times. The only reason that we have a United States present in the Middle East is to keep Israel from kicking the crap out of everybody in that region. We're not there to protect Israel. Don't get that twisted by any amount of thing. We are there to keep Israel in check. Because if we don't have a presence there, they're just going to deal with Hamas and the whole thing, and it's going to be a bloodbath of epic proportion. That's what I know.
The way I see the move of the embassy to Jerusalem is that he's making a strategic move to help Israel move their seat of government into Jerusalem.
Okay, well, that's always a good point to ponder. So
it is very interesting because, again, I'm not going to get all spiritual here biblically, but there's a lot of prophecies in the Bible that talks about the Middle East.
That's what I was just going to ask you.
We're looking at, there's a Psalm 83 prophecy that talks about the surrounding nations that basically border Israel, which would include Hamas, Fatah, Hezbollah, that they will wage this amazing war against Israel, against all odds. Of course, Israel will win that battle because of God. God will intervene. So that's something that's in the horizon. And this move, if that move went forward, that would definitely trigger something like that battle.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask something. I might be a little confused here, so Pastor Don, you can correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of people have talked about the Antichrist. They thought a lot of people throughout history could have been him. And so I guess they also talk about once the ark or arches or something is built.
The ark that was built in New York.
So does it necessarily have to be an ark or a throne, or could, maybe I'm speculating here or reaching, but could the move to Jerusalem also signify?
You mean like rebuilding the temple?
Yeah.
Well, the rebuilding of the temple is definitely biblical because, again, when you go back into Revelation 13, the Antichrist, it's written within God's word that the Antichrist will go into a temple and declare himself to be God. There'll be a statue, will come back to life. He will declare it. But you can't do that right now because there's no temple. So we know a temple will be built between now and then the end of time in Armageddon. In regards to the ark that you're mentioning, Dee, that's not biblical. That is not biblical in regards to having an ark having to be there. Now, if you're calling the ark the temple, then yes, you're absolutely correct. That temple would have to be built for the Antichrist to be able to go in.
I'm going to cut you off, but this is what I know. If you don't know this already, the Antichrist has come and gone. And if you didn't know who that was, it was Ronald Wilson Reagan, 666, and. So that part of the prophecy has been fulfilled.
Okay.
I'm just joking. Hey, I'm a conservative.
Can we take a commercial break?
Exactly.
Donovan needs to be a little bit educated.
Well, everybody loves this man. His stuff, it was the greatest thing that ever, the second coming of Jesus. You talk to a hardcore Republican. Oh, Ronald Reagan was the greatest thing ever. Nothing, Talk to a minority person, and they'll tell you their feeling about Ronald Wilson Reagan. So, Dee, I see that you kind of agree with that.
I didn't say a word.
Okay, great. But no, there's a lot of stuff there, and that's going to be a good topic to talk about. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, and let's just be real about it. Belle is here, so she likes to sit in and listen, and if she's a good dog, I won't take her back to the death shelter of Moreno Valley.
Oh, God.
So, Belle, be good there. So a lot of people are listening. The elephant in the room is this. And we've seen this video. that has gone out. The video has to do with school board trustee Area 5, Evan, the guy that I call moron, Morgan. And there's been 2 videos that have been put out. It's been put out on our page. If you haven't seen the video, go to the Hot Seat Facebook page, or you can go to the Inland Empire Informer. And very disturbing video. It's very misogynistic. It's very homophobic. It's very racist. And it's very anti-woman. And the latest video that went up today has Mr. Morgan simulating with dolls forcible rape. So let me go to you first. And I know you haven't seen the video yet.
I have seen it, actually. I saw it right now.
Oh, okay.
A couple of minutes ago.
Oh, okay. Oh, look. Multitasking. If you're looking for somebody now, Dee's really good. She knows her stuff. You just saw the video.
I did.
What is your honest opinion of what you just saw?
Initially, as I was watching it, I wondered what is wrong with him. Like, is there something legitimately wrong with him? Mm-hmm. I'm assuming he was an adult when he
so that video was in 2010, I believe.
Yeah,
2010.
So it was 27.
Yeah, so it's very disturbing.
If you're a parent, if you had a children in this, you have I don't want to give your age, D.
I'm 45.
Yeah, right. D started early. You have an adult child.
Yes,
and but if you have that child in the school district, mm-hmm. seeing this kind of behavior by a elected member of the school board, what would be your thoughts as a parent?
I wouldn't want him making any decisions regarding my child in any school at all. He would need to immediately be removed.
Okay. You are aware Moreno Valley had a problem with a guy named Mike Rios.
Yes.
Pimping 15-year-old girls,
mm-hmm.
On Craigslist or whatever it was, Backpages, whatever it was. And he's currently in jail right now. Some people, I don't know if he hasn't responded to the videos other than trying to threaten me indirectly, mm-hmm. which it doesn't bother me at all, because all I'm doing is reporting and doing my job, putting this thing out there.
You're making links. If you make links to his Facebook video, that's no different than making links to like cat videos or something.
Exactly. And I didn't comment on the video. All I said was, here's the information. Here it is for yourself. But Sean, what is your take? You've been a long time resident here. You are aware of the Mike Rios thing. What is your thought on the videos that you've seen?
I really think that Evan Morgan needs a serious psyche valve before mm-hmm. he returns to the school board meetings.
So, I mean, if this was anybody else in this aspect, so do you think that he should be removed from the school board, or that he needs to get some help and then return to the school board?
At a bare minimum, he needs to get some help, but more realistically, he probably is going to need to be removed.
Need to be removed. Pastor Don, you saw the videos. We talked about it earlier this morning because you are a pastor, and I asked you to pray for this young man. What is your...
Well, again, when we talked this morning, we made it clear that what our church is all about is families.
Right.
And you and I have worked together to do things to bring Boys and Girls Club in, mm-hmm. to bring Bible clubs in, because we care about children. Mm-hmm. And now we have this guy who, we're just learning about some of these antics that he's doing, and he's basically representing an area for kids. I mean, I'll tell you, if he was an upright man, he would resign. He really Absolutely. Would resign, because I'm telling you, all we care about is our children. Mm-hmm. And even though this is in the past, and he says I'm not that type of guy today, it doesn't matter. He should not be in a position with children when he's reacting and doing things like that.
But his relatively recently on his Twitter accounts, he still had lots of stuff about little girl Disney characters like Frozen and stuff about Barbie, and that was all relatively recent too. So right, something hasn't changed.
Well, is that any different than Donald Trump saying grab a chick by the personal private parts? And we're on the internet, so grab her by the pussy and call it a day, or what?
I don't. I guess it's the same.
It's just locker room talk.
I don't know.
No, it's
wrong. No, go ahead.
Well, and in regards to Evan Morgan and his behavior, during election season, I saw some stuff, comments of his that was very off-colored.
Right.
So it's not like I've changed. This was in the past. I mean, he's
still exhibiting.
Maybe he's not, still. I don't know if he's still making the nasty comments and simulating rape with dolls, but I mean,
we don't know
the
that.
same person.
We don't know that.
Yeah.
Well, about Donald Trump, some of those comments he made are actually relatively tame compared to other comments that are made in
Mr. Morgan's videos.
Well, just guys talking in company with no women present.
True. Well,
I think what Donald Trump was saying was more narcissistic bravado than anything he actually did. But
I'm saying is, everybody's so accepting, since everybody's so involved in the national, that would be outrageous on a national, in a normal environment for our president to be speaking like that. But here we are at a local environment where the national environment doesn't really affect us. So people stop thinking that your vote on the national level does not matter.
But what I'm talking about is that the difference is that with Evan Morgan is something about his emotional development is stunted at about elementary school level, and he's having some sort of a deviant fantasies, delusions, hallucinations. I don't know what.
Right,
and
I agree with Sean there. I guess the difference, and I don't advocate what Trump did either.
Right,
I think that's horrible as well. But we're talking about children. Right. We're talking about elementary school kids. We're talking about a guy who represented and makes decisions for our kids. I mean, I don't have kids in that age, and maybe none of us here do. But all of Moreno Valley, there's a lot that do. And I'll tell you, when you have someone as a representative that are, I mean, it's a constant flow of Twitters and follow and all this. I mean, it wasn't like a one-time only thing. This was a constant flow, and it's like you guys just mentioned, it's still kind of continuing. So
and the big difference between Trump and Morgan is that what Trump was saying, he was talking about like women would let him do these things, whereas Morgan is talking about forcible rape or depicting forcible rape with action figures. Right.
And I'm a firm believer. If you're a man of money, there are women out there that will let you do whatever you need to do. Because they want the money. I mean, it's about the money. That's why you got pro players and athletes being targeted and.
But on the other hand,
I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that.
On the expose that came out against Trump, I guess he was on a bus.
Talking. And
crap. If I'm not mistaken, it was a woman walking outside of the bus.
That he said,
"Look at on her."
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't know if there is a difference, and the reason why I said I don't know if there's a difference because on one hand we say Evan Morgan is dealing with children. We're talking about the president, where he's able to make decisions over children, women, everybody.
But he wasn't at a time when he was president. This was what 11 years ago.
That's
2004.
In all fairness,
Mr. Morgan, same thing.
2010.
The simulated rape, but the dolls wasn't when he had a position either. So
I don't
know. I just think at some point in time. And this is what I always say this, especially if you're going to be running for a public office. You have to think about all the stuff that you've done because it's going to come out. I don't care. It's going to come out.
Unless you were in the military like me by law where those records cannot be disclosed.
Let's just assume you weren't doing anything with
all Trump is making a big effort to rise to the level of maturity necessary to be president, whereas Evan Morgan is still doing the same old stuff.
Yeah, he's lowering the standard, if anything.
This is where I do have a disagreement. Okay, we all saw the very first press conference with Spicer.
Yes.
He didn't come out and talk about nothing, grand.
Right.
He came out to dispute the number of people at the inauguration.
What does it matter?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, that's what you're using it for? Really?
Right.
I mean,
I didn't hear it, but
the maturity of it. But, again, at this level where our children, I mean, this guy, you can go to a meeting and actually see this guy in his face, and your kids might be down there getting an award. This is a man who has children of his own.
Does Evan Morgan have unrestricted access to the schools with his position?
I would believe so. You're a superintendent. I would believe so. Or not a superintendent. You're a school board member. Yeah, I would believe so. Because, you know what? I'm going to have to say yes, because Denise Fleming used her position on the school board to seed the schools, all that propaganda that she was doing that I exposed her for doing. So, which is on level playing field.
His behavior in children, it just doesn't go together. I mean, his behavior in anybody, but just, especially children who are helpless, who have no decision-making process at all. He shouldn't be anywhere around them.
Right. So at this stage of the game, a lot of calls, from my understanding, went out to the Moreno Valley School Board, went out to the Riverside county level. And after this Mike Rios disaster, if this school board does not take action to investigate what's going on or whatever, then it's on them at this point because it's out there. Number two, since we're talking about Mr. Moore,
because that could result in a Penn State
a major lawsuit, right?
Lawsuit,
right?
It will.
Exactly.
It will.
Yeah,
because those are the only things we know,
right?
Exactly.
What else is out there that we don't know? You know,
right? And I know he was elected and stuff like that, but people, this is why we keep saying, this is why we do the show, to get this information out. And if you need more information on that, you can go to mvgordy.com. He was the guy that everybody knows who MV Gordy is, but he's the guy that broke this story initially. Well, no, wait. I think the first video was somebody else, and then MV Gordy did the video today. And MV Gordy is very thorough in some of the documents that he gets. So all I can do is say is stay on MV Gordy's good side if you want to run for office, because getting on his bad side is not a good thing. So with that, Evan Morgan's where he's at. Before we go, we're going to go talk about this into the second phase of our show. Evan Morgan was supported by Highland Fairview. Mike Rios was supported by Highland Fairview. If you look at one of the things that was put up, Evan Morgan thanks Victoria Baca, Idiot Gutierrez, all the same Highland Fairview stooges that are very either corrupt or of questionable character. Now all this comes out. Here's my question, you guys. I want you guys to think about that as we go into the second hour. Why is it that Highland Fairview always backs candidates of questionable background and character? I have yet to see him back somebody who's unreproachable, right? Is doing that. He's always getting people that either have a financial interest or willing to sell those. And I've said over and over again, Mr. Morgan, you're bending over, spreading your cheeks for whatever the money is. And excuse me, Pastor, for saying that. But I was going to curse it, but I said, let me try to put my thing over. And that's the problem with a lot of things that are going on when you have people they don't care about what's happening in Moreno Valley. They just want the money. For him to funnel money through his mother, mama's boy, and say, I never took any money. If you like the WLC project, fine. But you don't have to get paid to like something. Yeah. Am I correct? Or because we're working for the church, trying to build the church. I'm not getting paid a dime. I'm doing it because I want to do it.
I would just say this before you go to commercial. I don't care what your interest is. I think when it comes to the well-being of children, there should be no debate. If he's going to put a corrupt person in that position, find somebody who is not harmful, right, or may be harmful. Yeah. Right.
That you got to be real sensitive when you're talking about children,
right,
and other people's children.
And speaking of Highland Fairview, also a good friend of mine, Moses Riza. Rumor is he has moved to District 4, got an apartment or whatever he's doing over there, renting a house, whatever he's doing. So Ito is making strategic planning for an appointment, and we're going to see how that turns out. We're going to talk about that in the second hour. Max just woke up. All right, Max, how you feeling? She's still with us. So we're going to talk about it in the second hour. Me and Sean Fortine, Demetra Coulter, Mighty Max, who's ready for the second hour. Pastor Don is with us, and I'm Donovan Sadiq, your host. And we are going to take this to the second hour. You guys stand by. We have a lot more to talk about. Don't forget about Bell. What about Bell? All right, going to the second hour.